I have watched Star Wars episodes 1 to 6 for the first time, and I want to make this very clear. I did not grow up with these movies. I did not grow up with Star Wars. I have no emotional attachment. The only Star Wars project that I did grow up with was Star Wars The Clone Wars, which I loved as a kid, but I haven't watched that like in 10 years. So I decided to watch all of them in order. I was looking around debating, okay, how should I watch this? Should I do it release order or just the order of the episodes? And I think I much more enjoyed it doing it in the order of the episodes because it gave you more context for a lot of things. But also it just kind of flowed in one direction, which I kind of enjoyed. So let's get into this. Phantom Menace. This is regarded as one of the I guess the worst Star Wars movies ever. Not ever, but like in these two trilogies. And I would agree. This movie sucks. Just straight up. It is the worst. And it is the worst solely because of Jar Jar Binks. If he was included much less or even not at all, this would possibly be an above average solid movie. But Jar Jar is so jarring. A character that's supposed to be funny is just not funny at all. He's the worst. And just to be very blunt, I think he takes away a lot from this movie just because of how much he's in it. If I was 6 years old and I was watching this movie, maybe I would find him funny, but I am a grown-ass man and he's not funny. And also there is young Anakin. I didn't think he was that bad in terms of the acting. I just found it very weird that you're bringing a kid into a war. And I know this is a family adventure type of movie and genre, but I don't know. Bringing a kid into war, that just does not make sense to me. Decoy Queen Amidala was also pretty bad. Is she supposed to be bad on purpose, like in terms of just being super robotic? I'm guessing that's how they wanted her to behave because she is the fake decoy, so maybe she has to behave in that manner. But I don't know, it wasn't great to watch. But I will say all the other performances were good. Nothing special, just solid good performances. Now, Attack of the Clones. This is a solid movie, much better than Phantom Menace, just because Jar Jar is not a main factor. Straight up. Hayden Christensen, his performance is weird to me because it's not necessarily bad acting. I think it's just how George Lucas wanted him to act. And I'm just saying this to give him the benefit of the doubt that this is what they wanted. But if this is not what they wanted, then yeah, it's just straight up bad acting. Another big issue that also kind of goes with his performance is Anakin and Padme. Their story and their love story is so mid, and this could be a mixture of bad writing and performances, but I found it was just not as good as I hoped. And this kind of sucks because that is a very big pivotal part to this story, and I would have loved if they did it much better, and this would be a much better movie if they did their love story in a better way. Also, Anakin telling Padme that he killed a bunch of innocent people and she's just cool with that, that's a major red flag. Windu, Yoda, Count Dooku, Kenobi, all great performances, good writing. Yoda versus Count Dooku was nice. I wish it was a bit longer because it was low-key kind of peak. Kenobi in particular is also just very good. Even in the next movie, he's just a solid, good actor, man. And I do love the performances he gives. I do love the stories and his adventure that he goes on. Probably my favorite character in this trilogy, I would say. Overall, this is a solid movie, 6 out of 10. If Anakin and Padme was just done better, this would definitely be a much higher rating. Revenge of the Sith. Just want to say this right now, this is the best movie by far of the trilogy, and I would say the best movie in both trilogies. That's just how good this movie is. Acting for Anakin is better, not great, but it's better. And this movie is just really good. The third act in particular is incredible. Order 66 was brutal. Anakin turning to the dark side is just a big moment. All of this is executed amazingly. The third act here is the peak of these trilogies, in my opinion. I think this is as peak as it gets for Star Wars. My main issue here is not even about this movie, but again, it's about the last movie. because we see Padme die here, and her death would be much more impactful to me if I was invested much more into their love story. Unfortunately, I'm just not, because it's just badly done, so it doesn't hit as hard as it should, which just sucks. But we do get Kenobi versus Anakin, which is really good. We get Kenobi versus General Grievous, which is great. We get Yoda versus Darth Sidious, which is also decent as well. A lot of just good stuff here, and I'm glad that they ended off this trilogy with the best movie and in the best possible way. So at least they made two pretty subpar movies, but at least this third one really is what you would want from the last movie. Overall, I gave this a 8 out of 10. Incredible movie. Now let's go to the OG trilogy and go to the first movie that started all of this, Star Wars: A New Hope. It's a solid movie. I wasn't really amazed by it. I was kind of underwhelmed, not gonna lie, but it's still a solid movie. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I know Star Wars is a very family / adventure type franchise, and I think you really see that in this trilogy. It's very fast paced, fun, and because of this, it really lacks depth. I think they did not explain the stakes of what's going on in a good way, because the stakes are very high here. Also, I will say Darth Vader is not as menacing and scary as I would hope. Now, The Empire Strikes Back. This was an improvement, and I think this is the best movie in this trilogy. I loved Han Solo and Leia. I think their chemistry is so much better than Anakin Padme. Like, it's so much better. If Anakin and Padme had this chemistry, oh man, that would have been amazing, but they don't. It was interesting seeing Yoda here and how he behaves, just because he's much different. He is not anywhere as near as good as the Yoda in the prequel trilogies. He's much more of a comedic character, I guess you could say, which I don't really like. I like Yoda being wise and being wise. Not just trying to make jokes. C-3PO is super annoying. He just complains and complains and complains. I almost just wish that you should have just been left and not come on these missions, because holy shit, all you do is complain. I think if I didn't know that Vader is his father, then I think I'd rate this movie higher, but obviously that is the most spoiled twist in Star Wars, so it just doesn't hit as hard as it should, I guess. But overall, this is a good movie though. 7 out of 10. This is a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. The last movie, The Return of the Jedi, pretty underwhelming to say the least. Luke confronting Darth Sidious was mid. This is supposed to be the climax. This is supposed to be peak AF, and it's just not. Vader, who just ends up lifting Sidious and just throwing him off the bridge or whatever. That's just so dead, man. Give me something more peak. Give me something more hard hitting. I don't know. I just thought that was very underwhelming overall. As well as Han Solo and Leia, what they were doing on the ground also was just not as interesting as I thought it would be. I just also didn't really like the Ewoks that much. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like this movie overall. I give it a 5 out of 10, and Return of the Sith was an incredible ending to that trilogy, whereas this movie is just falls flat. It's just not as climactic as you would hope. But yeah, 5 out of 10. Overall, I would say for Star Wars, it's good. These two trilogies are good. Are they as good as I thought they would be just because of how popular Star Wars is? Not really. I thought overall it was not as good as I thought, but you still get some good moments here. I think in the prequel trilogy, I think you get the best moments there, in my opinion. And maybe that's just because I prefer a more serious tone compared to the OG trilogy, where it's more fun. That's totally on me, but overall, I would say I'm just not super impressed. Even though, don't get me wrong, I still respect Star Wars immensely, and I love this world as well. I think Star Wars has the most unique, most massive world in any movie franchise, you could say. So I respect Star Wars heavily. And also just to say on Darth Vader, bro, Darth Vader is not as menacing as I thought at all. Like he has some good moments when Anakin turns to the dark side and kills all those children and innocent people. That is menacing. That is somebody who you should be afraid of. I think that's like the most menacing he was in general. Other than that, he's just not as scary as I thought. And Andor is still the best Star Wars project I've watched so far.